Welcome back to another video, guys. The new Anglerfish Company Epic Dungeon is out now and you are able to do it. I finished the whole thing, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, give you tips on clearing it, and tell you exactly how all of this works. So first of all, if you want to do the Epic Dungeon Anglerfish Company, you have to be at least level 270 and you start the quest in your light bulb. It's a level 270 quest. It'll just bring you here and you talk to this guy. There is a decently long pre-quest. It took me about 30 minutes when you first do it, and then after you finish the pre-quest, then you can actually do the epic dungeon, which took me about another 30 minutes. So in total, it took about an hour to do the pre-quest plus the dungeon. But the dungeon will probably take a little longer if you are weaker. But the thing is, I don't think it'll take as long as a fresh 260 doing high mountain for the first time, because that's when you first hit 260, you don't have much. But because Angler Company is level 270, you probably are a little bit stronger at this point. So I don't think it'll take as long as if you were like a fresh 260. So for me, it took me about 30 minutes to do the tutorial and then another 30 minutes to do the actual dungeon. Now, you can only do Angler Company or High Mountain once a week. That's it. So like you can't do High Mountain and you can't do Angler Company. So you see it says clear over here on Angler Company and it doesn't say clear in High Mountain. Even if I try to enter High Mountain, that's it. I can't do it. I can't do it on any other character. You can only choose one. But in the future, in the far future, if somebody's watching this video, you will be able to do both. But as of right now, you can only do one. But before we get right into it, I want to remind you guys to subscribe and pull up to the Twitch channel because we have so much fun. We make a lot of videos almost every day and stream almost every single day too. So you definitely don't want to miss out. Anyways, so my initial thoughts about Angler Company is that it was really annoying, to be honest with you. It was really annoying and I hated it. But honestly, part of that was because I didn't understand some of the puzzles. So Angler Company, unlike High Mountain is very brain dead in the sense that like you just have to mob and then kill the bosses every time there's a boss, right? But with Angler Company, there's like mini games that you have to do and mob. But so the mobbing is like the easy part, but then there are mini games. Two of the mini games that you do are pretty easy in my opinion, but one of them is really annoying, probably just because it's like my first time doing it. But if you were to do it every single week, it'd probably get easier and easier, but I still found it annoying. So this one is more like half on the mini game and the mobbing, whereas High Mountain is all about mobbing and killing the bosses. So during both the pre-quest and the actual like epic dungeon, you're gonna have to do these mini games and mobs. They're very similar, but I think the epic dungeon itself is a little bit harder than the pre-quest. So let's show you some gameplay of how this works. So when you have to unlock the pre-quest, it's gonna look like this. You're gonna see Senya here, and then you just press start, and then you're gonna have to go through the entire pre-quest and the story. It took me about 30 minutes. During the pre-quest, you actually play as Senya. So Senya has her teleport, and she has like a kind of like chain lightning ability on ice, like Ice Lightning's chain lightning, where you just shoot monsters. And then as you're shooting monsters, like zapping them around, you're starting to gain more and more energy. And then you use that energy to do the mini games. So how this works is you want to kill monsters. You do this in pretty much every single floor, where you kill monsters till you're at like max energy, and then you do the mini game that you have to do for that floor with the energy. And then in the mini game, the skills that you use in the middle of it cost energy. So if you're really bad at the mini game, you're gonna have to keep going back and killing mobs to get more and more energy. But you can do the entire mini game with just one full gauge of 1000. So once you're at the system or portal or whatever, you have to press interact, and then you'll start doing the mini game. So this is the minigame that I personally find annoying because it gets much harder than what you're about to see. But basically how this minigame works is you are a robot and you can press tab to turn on or off platforms. So for example, I'm on this green platform here as this robot and I'm moving back and forth. But when I press tab, the red platform turns on, but the blue one turns off. So you're going to have to alternate these platforms on and off to get the robot to whatever destination it needs to get to. So you can see I turned the blue one on now, but the red one turned off. And I'm gonna have to keep alternating this back and forth to make sure that the robot gets to where it needs to be. But it gets annoying because it gets a lot of jump pads, and sometimes there's like platforms that you have to turn on and off very quickly, and it doesn't feel very responsive. It's server lag based, so if you're somebody who has like really high ping, this is probably going to be even harder for you, because sometimes it got a little tricky for even me who doesn't have like really that high ping. Like for example, this part, you're gonna have to go on the blue, and then you're gonna have to go on the red, and then the blue, right? So you're gonna have to like be turning stuff on and off, but sometimes it's a little unresponsive and it feels really annoying. So that's how like the first mini game works, right? But they give you an out. So let's say you start the mini game and you have the full 1000 energy, you can use the 1000 energy skill to just skip one part of the minigame entirely. Like the robot just skips to one portal to the other. So that way you don't actually have to do it, but then you have to mob a lot more too. This is the next minigame. The next minigame is kind of like the energy beam pipes or whatever this is. How this minigame works is you're going to have to lead the energy from one end to the other end. You're going to have an ability that can redirect which way the energy goes. So you can see this full map, right? There's this like node here, and you can see the energy path is going from the top right, and it's bouncing around and then goes to the bottom right. But on the minimap, it's going to tell you which direction it needs to go. And then you're going to have to change it so that it flows to the correct direction. So you'll see on the minimap here, it starts on the top right, and then you're going to have to get it to the bottom middle part, right? So I'm going to have to redirect this to get it here. And the way you redirect it is by filling up your energy again, just like normal. So you're going to have to kill a bunch of mobs to fill up your energy. And then you're going to have this new skill that costs 200 that you can use to redirect the wires. Now, this one, I found it frustrating because I didn't understand how it worked. But once you understand how it works, it's actually really, really, really easy. You just have to know exactly how the redirection works. Like you can't just redirect any wire in any direction. They have to have at least 2 vertical parallel lines between them for you to be able to redirect it. And the redirection goes the direction that you're facing. So let's say I'm Senya and I use this ability and I shoot it this way to the right. That means there's going to be a new wire that forms from this point that goes to the right. Now, obviously that wouldn't do anything because the power is going down and then it reaches the junction and goes left. So you want to redirect things before it reaches a junction. So let's say I wanted to move this wire and bring it to the left. That means I would have to stand over here where my mouse is and then shoot left. That way the power would go down and I created a new junction and it would go left and then down again. And then this wouldn't be turned on anymore, if that makes sense. So you can see here, I kind of don't know what I'm doing, right? So I'm going to use the S skill, which is the 200 one, and I'm going to shoot it this way. So when I shoot it this way, the power is going from the left and then it turns right and then it goes down. But since I'm going to be using this skill, it's going to go down and then make a right because I created a new wire. See, I created a new wire because I shot right and now the energy went down and to the right. But that's not where I want it to go, right? I want it to go to the left. So I'm just kind of like shooting in the wrong way. But this is a good example of how the redirection works. So this is the one that I want it to go to, right? So I'm going to shoot this one because I know that the energy is on the right and it created a wire going that direction. And since now it flows that way, I did it in kind of like a weird way, but ultimately it still flows in the direction that I want it to go to, then we're good. Once the connection is formed, you just hit the ball like in the middle and then you clear that stage. Now there's another variant of this that I'll show you in a second. There are also boss stages every few floors as well, but the bosses are super easy. Like you literally just hit them. Now this is the tutorial version, but in the actual epic dungeon, it's even easier because you could use your skills and just blow up the thing. So there's this attack that is kind of like a full map attack. You can either just dodge it or you can change color and you can tank the entire attack. So for example, this is going to be a blue laser. If I press the tab skill and I switch to the red aura, that means I could like absorb the whole thing. But I didn't know that, so I just dodge it. So you're going to have to do this robot game again. And the robot game gets harder and harder. You can see like the platforms get one tile and one tile. And then the robot also becomes invisible. So you're going to have to predict where it is based off of the movement speed, which is like really annoying because you can't see it anymore. And sometimes the platforms are unresponsive. This is the game that I hate the most. Like I think this robot game is so annoying, especially because sometimes the switching isn't as responsive as you want it to be. And this is like the main reason why I didn't really like this epic dungeon that much. But if you don't mind this type of stuff, then sure, you're gonna love it. So now we've reached another rewiring game like I mentioned earlier, but this rewiring game is a little bit different because there's no ball in the middle that just sits there, then you whack it. You have to redirect the ball to get to the right direction. So it'll make sense in a second. So there's this ball that's going to be either on like the top left or top right corner of the map, and there's going to be the wire connected to it, the powered wire, and you have to redirect the flow of the power to the correct area, and then the ball will move down, follow that path, and reach that area. So you can see here, for example, the ball's on the top left, and it's going to just follow the powered path to wherever it needs to go. But you have to redirect the powered path to the correct location. So you're going to have to gather a bunch of energy, and you can see that it's on the top left and I need to bring it down to like the bottom middle. So I'm going to have to redirect the wires to get it to go here. And then you have a limited amount of time to do it as well, because if the timer runs out and it fails, that means you have to restart and redirect it and all that stuff. So for me, I did it wrong the first time. and it failed. So now it changed directions. The ball's on the top left now, and I have to bring it to the bottom right corner. So after rewiring it, like I showed earlier how to rewire it, I'm good to go. And then you hit the ball, and you're done with this type of stage. So that's like how the tutorial games are, but in the actual epic dungeon, you play as yourself and you could just jump around, mob around, and I feel like it's quicker than playing as Senya. If you're probably really weak, it might be easier, but I think it's good that you can mob around because you have Janice, and Janice just helps you out a lot. Oh, another thing that's really important to mention is I didn't feel laggy doing this like High Mountain. High Mountain, you just like freeze and stuff, but I didn't freeze at all doing this. So the last game that I want to talk about is the mech suit game. So this game is very simple. Like you're just in a giant mech suit and you have to kill the robots and you have to jump on the platforms. And then there are also platforms that you could turn on and off, as you can see over here, like the red and blue ones that you're going to have to climb on as well. So this is a very easy game too. There's nothing really to worry about it. It's very straightforward. And you just have to get to the other side and then hold interact on the computer. And then you're done with this game and you're done with this stage. So those are all the games. So there's a rewiring game. There's the robot that you have to lead to the right direction. And there's the mech suit like robot game that we just showed. And then there are bosses in between, but the bosses are very, very simple, like I showed earlier. And then there's the final boss. So how the final boss works in the end, it's this giant fish. There's going to be this ball that spawns, and the ball's going to be moving around. You have to hit this ball. You don't have to hit anything in the background. This ball's going to be moving around the map, and you have to hit it. But if you're really strong, you could just kill the ball in one hit, and then you're done. But for example, when I was doing it on Senya, I had to chase the ball down and constantly hit it. And then the boss has attacks that follow you as well. But you can heal in this room. It's not like the High Mountain boss where you can't heal. You could just heal in this room, so it doesn't really matter. So you just keep hitting the ball, and then the boss HP will just get lower and lower and lower. And then there's this stage where these like flying robots come attack you, so you just kill them. Like it's really, really easy, and you dodge the horizontal attacks. And then you could stay in the middle, and this is kind of like the safe spot when it spawns in. And then low-key, there's this like crazy animation that plays too. Like they went too hard on this animation, I'm not gonna lie, with this fish. But it's very easy. You just hit the ball and you're good. And then once you're done, you get your rewards. So on the heroic world, you get 55 fragments, 1 soul urta, and a dense soul urta energy, and you get a lot of XP. Now keep in mind the XP is based off level. Like you might not get this much, but it is a lot more than High Mountain. So it's 15 more frags and you get a lot more XP. So yes, it is definitely worth doing. Even if you think it's annoying, it's super worth doing. The XP and the fragments are really, really good. But that's about it for the entirety of Angler Company. I personally found it annoying. Maybe you won't, but it's definitely still worth doing. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I tried my best to explain it. Once you understand the games, it's not too bad, but that's how it works. This is a weekly thing. You could do it every single week. It resets the same time as weekly boss reset, and that's it. So if you appreciate this video, I would be very, very thankful if you subscribed and pulled up to the Twitch channel. It helps me out a lot. That all being said though, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much to my members, Blazefire, Shooms, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Koga, Piconir, Skittles, Dante Victory, CK, J, Blunt Poppy Supreme Oil Backwards, Vampiric X, Fresh and Juicy, Assassin, and Migu. I appreciate you guys so much, and shout out to everyone who submitted fan art. If you always want to submit fan art, it's in the Discord linked below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.